I mean, I know you talked about this story yesterday, but
we weren't really able to go as in depth. So I think this is the time where we really we zero in.
The
on this
DOJ announced yesterday in a 34-page, was it indictment? 32-page indictment. I have it here in front of me. That a sealed indictment. Now, I also want to be clear. Despite what I guess Tim and Dave Rubin put out there in their really surprisingly similar tweets about this, was that this document was not leaked. It was unsealed. So it wasn't like anybody was leaking it and, in an improper manner. It was unsealed by the DOJ because they're going public with these charges. And it was a grand jury that is charging two individuals. And I, for the life of me, I'm barely going to be able to pronounce their name, but Konstantinian Kalishnikov and Elena Afanasyevagieva.
Well done.
Thank you. And they apparently, two Russian nationals, I believe, but former RT employees, apparently set up an enterprise in which Russian money was sent to them, and they posed as somebody different. Mm-hmm. And they essentially hired two principal executives, believed now to be, was it Laura Chen?
Lauren Chen, who is a now former, as of yesterday, Blaze TV employee. That's Glenn Beck's outfit, or at least contractor. A more low-level conservative personality who also was on the business side.
And her husband, I think they're both Canadian nationals. I'm not 100% sure of that, but they're not American nationals, according to this indictment. And they went on to hire some well-known conservative influencer type, political commentator types.
Anyone we ever heard of?
Well, that's the funny part. It turns out one of those people, known in the now unsealed indictment, is commentator one, and that guy is Dave Rubin. Yeah. Remember that like a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was a month or two ago, and I don't know if we did this on air, but I remember asking Matt, like, how does Dave Rubin make any money? Like, who is watching him now? He's not doing that well on YouTube. Nothing happens on Rumble. He probably got some money up front to go on to Rumble, but that has to have run out. Like, how is this guy, is he even on Blaze TV anymore? Because they don't seem to promote it. And ever since the Blaze TV people found out that Dave Rubin was gay and was adopting a child, or two childs, or not adopting, basically
children
having
via
surrogate. It seemed like his audience had dried up. But yet, he's got this new studio down in Florida where you don't have to pay income tax.
It is funny that he just returned from his month-long unplug from the news.
Yeah.
This happened.
And
must be stressful.
The other commentator was a guy named Tim Pool. Let's talk about Dave first.
Okay.
Because apparently in February of 2023, Chen and her husband started to go out to commentators. Now, I want to I'll give my assessment of this in a moment, but just the TikTok. And they start to negotiate with Tim Pool and Dave Rubin, among others. Apparently, Lauren Southern's involved in this. Some dude, Matt Christensen, I've never heard of him. I don't know. Did they confirm that Benny Johnson's involved in this?
It appears that initially there was confusion about who commentator one was because they were identified by subscriber accounts, and Rubin and Benny Johnson have similar subscriber counts. Eric Toller said it was Benny Johnson at first, but it seems like a preponderance of the evidence has now shown that that is actually Dave Rubin, not Benny Johnson.
Right. So February 2023, they start negotiations, at least with Rubin and Poole. Let's just stick with them because it's pretty clear, that at the very least, that they have said that they were both victimized by this.
They're victims. They took a lot of money and they're victims.
They're victims. They start to negotiate, and they go like, "This is a lot of money you're talking about giving us. Who is in charge of this whole thing?" And so the founder duo, Chen et al., said, "Oh, it's a guy named Edward Gregorian." Really? Yeah, Edward Gregorian. Oh, who's he? Oh, he's from Belgium. Oh, that is a very, very distant country. Oh, yeah.
International. That's
International.
And he has a dynamic presence in both Brussels and London.
And he's setting up this company called Tenet. And it's going to be a YouTube channel.
Do you see he's in a private plane here?
Well, now hold on, because this isn't developed like right off the bat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Now they start negotiating. Rubin says, "I'm not doing it for less than $5 million a year." Now, let me just say, that's a lot of money. I mean, particularly in this business.
Yeah.
$5 million a year is a lot of money. That is not money. We do not come very close to generating that as.
Could hire a giant team of people with that,
$5
or
million.
just buy a new house.
Yeah.
And they start to negotiate, and ultimately they give Dave Rubin $400,000 a month. For, you ready for this? It's not like this is just some type of gift. 4 videos a month.
You're playing the game called capitalism.
That also comes with a $100,000 signing bonus, and then some type of like bonuses that maybe have been performance related. It's unclear. And at one point, Rubin says like, and then with Tim Poole, they give him $100,000. Now, Rubin's videos, I think he owned the rights to them, but I think they had exclusivity on Tenet based upon the indictment. With Tim Poole, it was just a license deal where I'll make videos $100,000 per video. Now, they paid out something like $8.7 million between the two of them. And we know that Rubin started this. They signed the deal in June of 2023. They're negotiating from February to June. And both these guys apparently were, for them, curious and inquisitive as to where is this money coming from. Because I got news for you folks. Like, I've done deals sort of like this, a licensing deal with a very prominent cable company in America.
Streaming outlet.
And the figures were nowhere remotely, even remotely close to these figures. Like, not even, I don't know what exponentially less. And I thought like, whoa, I can't believe I'm getting paid this.
And that's a big corporation, I must say.
Apparently, MSNBC is a big corporation. It's owned by a big corporate behemoth. And so if somebody was offering me this type of money,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'd turn it down, but I'd be really curious as where it's coming from. And they were curious. And so what did they do? They Googled, who is this Edward Gregorian who wants to pay me $400,000 $100,000 a month for 4 videos a month.
$100,000 a week
$100,000 a video.
per week. Right.
Well, yeah,
Sure.
This isn't a freebie. I've got an obligation. I've got to deliver that video each week. That's hard. So they Google, they don't find anything, and they go, "Hey, we Googled, we didn't find anything," and they go, okay, hold on." And so the owners of this company, presumably, or the Russian handlers, they produce this slick thing that you could never ever
Flyer.
produce unless you had, the ability to pay for $100,000.
Who needs a long form birth certificate?
Look
when
at
you
the
have
size.
This?
Look at pop this up. Look at the size of that window. I mean, this is
know.
a big ass private plane he's on.
I think
Isn't
we
it? Or is that-
covered this before, that in Russia there actually are companies that you can pay a fee to for the day to take a photo shoot on private airplanes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's
That ain't
actually a
just
very
Russia.
That is,
successful.
that's everywhere. People do that
Any
for their
influencers,
People
yeah.
do that for their like Instagrams and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, okay, here it is. Eduard Gregorian, experienced finance professional and investor, deeply engaged in business and philanthropy, leveraging skills and resources to drive positive impact.
Damn.
Supporting a range of organizations worldwide with a dynamic presence, mainly in Brussels and London. Now, those are 2 big cities, Brussels and London. I'm sure many of you have heard of them.
Bustling.
Engaging in personal and professional pursuits in each location with a focus on poverty alleviation, championing free speech, and advocating for social justice causes. Just remember that those last 3 lines there, because that's going to play a part here. But then they go on to give his CV, which means a
Curriculum vitae
yes, it's like a resume, which is like a
for Europeans.
yes. And life and education, born in Brussels, and bachelor degree in economics and management at blankety blank. Now, the reason why that's blacked out is because it's a real place. Because it was a fake place. When they released this in the indictment, they wouldn't black it out because it would say, Jim Hopkins University or something, or, Harvard, or,
Right.
Blue University or something.
I would guess
or,
as the London School of Finance would be my guess at it, but who knows?
it could be, who knows? Cum laude. Now, if I see that this guy went to, let's say it's London School of Economics and graduated cum laude, I know, I bet you London School of Economics cum laude is published.
Right. If you get an award like that from a prestigious school, and we don't know if it's London School of Economics.
I'm just guessing.
They register
I'm
that
just going to
stuff.
throw that in there. And let's see. We could probably look that up. I mean, in fact, if I was the type of person who could, let's say, buy a skate park or wasn't paying any income tax in Florida, I would say, you know what, I'm going to pay for a service because I could make $5 million in a year, but maybe I'm going to spend, I don't know, $400 to just hire somebody to check this out. Now, you can go and for $35, you can go and get like a subscription to like whatever it is, been verified or something like that, and Spokio, and find out what the deal is. But then this guy gets the Masters of Accounting and worked at the blank while working as a junior investment banking analyst at. Now, those are blacked out too because they're real places. And you could Google, like let's, for instance, JD, like I don't know, who is somebody that worked at Goldman Sachs? Who is that? Who?
The governor of
Phil Murphy, like the governor of New
Okay,
Jersey.
yeah, Phil Murphy.
Other Goldman Sachs governor of New Jersey, John Corzine.
Goldman Sachs. Let's see if that comes up. Or, even, I mean, it will, I guess, because Phil Murphy, let's see, Goldman Sachs. Well, these are all stories about him.
Well, he's a
known.
politician, but
He's a
okay,
politician.
anybody who has ever been
I
on
don't
a
know
dating
anybody.
app, okay, and you want to look up the person that, say, you're going to meet up with them for drinks, and you want to make sure they're a real person. You just go on their LinkedIn
But-
and you Google them and where apparently they're from. You can see where they worked, and that would be more due diligence.
Okay.
Than seemingly was
Well-
exercised here.
But I think they did Google him.
Okay.
And they said they couldn't find anything about it. That's why they came up with this document. And then they said, oh, he's very private.
In that
And there's
instance,
a
I
couple of
canceled
things.
the date.
Relocated to Singapore through blank to work with blank, blank,
Right.
blank, 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 bank one, bank two, various positions, bank one, various positions. The point is, if you're looking to make that kind of money and you have questions enough that you're Googling, it's answered by a single piece of paper. It is if you are a complete fraud at what you do. Because if you're Googling to find these answers, you know there's some questions there. And if there are some questions there, you couldn't find anything because there's no answers there. So you don't go and say, well, I'm going to do even more due diligence. No, you quit. And the one thing that you say, if you are Dave Rubin, after they give you this document, is not like, hey, man, I can't verify any of this stuff, but I see it's in print. But I do have one question that I'm a little bit suspicious of.
Yeah.
What's this whole thing about advocating for social justice causes? That is what Dave Rubin asked about. Not about any of the other stuff. He had a problem with the profile we sent over, specifically the reference to social justice, which persona one, that commentator one, I should say, that founder one reported to the Russians who were pretending to be whatever, Claude Jabashavajan,
Yeah.
whatever the guy's name is.
That
beautiful.
Rubin, who is commentator one, had, quote, a problem with the profile we sent over, specifically the reference to social justice.
It's beautiful. His dumb principles almost got in the way of a bag.
Exactly.
I think it may be because that's usually a term used by liberals, but we're trying to create a conservative network.
That's it.
So then they suggested that they could have a conference call to make sure that they
That's all
iron out
bullshit.
their ideological differences with Eduard
In
Gregorian.
Europe, it means something very different. But this is me, Gregorian.
But this part is also amazing. So they set up a call to speak because he's concerned about social justice in the profile. Do you want to take this, Sam?
Yeah. And so Gregorian, who is the fake guy, circulated an email to Founder 1 and Commentator 1, right? CCs, even though Founder 1 and Founder 2 apparently knew that this guy was not from Belgium, but was from Russia, because when they didn't get their check, they tried to email, didn't hear back, and then Googled the time in Russia to find out, like, oh, no, they're asleep right now. They're not going to respond to us. Even though that they sort of did not know that they were in Russia. Okay? Just to be clear. Now, for whatever reason, Founder 1 and Founder 2, Chen and her husband, have not been charged at this juncture. So Gregorian circulated an email to Founder 1 and to Commentator 1's
Rubin.
assistant, scheduling a Zoom meeting for 5 p.m. Paris that day. They had already established that Edward Gregorian was based in Paris. At approximately 8:58 a.m. Central Time that day, Edward Gregorian replied to his earlier email, "I'm there, guys, waiting on the Zoom." The time, in fact, was 3:58 in Paris, but it was 4:58 in Moscow. So 2 minutes later, Edward Gregorian performed a Google search for the
Whoopsie.
time in Paris. And Edward Gregorian then replied again to his email part, "Sorry, wrong hour. Didn't sync the calendar."
I hate when
are
I
you
don't sync
sure?
the calendar and I forget if I'm in Paris or Moscow.
I mean, he's such a jet setter.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know where he is. He could wake up in Moscow. Could you see from the private
The
plane?
bottom line is that, look, there's a couple of things that I think go to the top of this indictment. Where is this? Okay. There's a couple of things that you can take from this. One is, as stated in the press release, actually. Can you go to the press release? Can you find that press release? I think I got it somewhere around here, but I can't find it right now. There's a couple of things to take away from this. First is, I've heard some crank say, this is all about, Russia, whatever it is. Now, I don't really, I'm not in any way surprised that Russia is trying to, influence the election or undermine the cohesiveness of our society or whatever it is. I don't think Russia's the only country that does that. I could name probably 3 or 4 off the top of my head that I have heard engage in these things.
Israel, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. How many think tanks are with Saudi money?
Oh, yeah. Iran, in some instances, China, probably. I would also bet that for every country I could name, the United States does the same thing, but double or triple the number of those countries, or quadruple.
Similar method, too, I think.
So this story is less, to me, about, sort of like Russia trying to influence our election. However, I have seen some blowhards out there say, $10 million, this is nothing. I can't believe we're making a mountain out of a mountain. I got news for you. The idea that Russia's only spending $10 million and they're like, we have $10 million to spend to influence America. Where will we spend it? I know. Get Chen on the line and see if she can get Rubin and Tim Pool, if it's possible, with $10 billion. I mean, no,
Tell
of
Rubin
course.
that social justice doesn't
And I
matter.
think I think they even reference it in the at one point. There's a reference to this is part of like an entire operation, but just one silo of an entire operation. Okay, yeah, here it is. I can't remember where it is, but the point is that there's no way this is the extent of that program. You don't spend only $10 million and not put greater checks on it than giving $5 million to Dave Rubin, for God's sakes. If it's happening with these guys, it's happening in many, many other areas, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, television, in Congress, who knows? I mean, the controls that they placed on this $10 million and what they got in return, so sloppy that it really gives you a sense of like, these guys are running many, many operations like this. Of course they are. And the issue for me still is even less about like, how is Russia influencing our election in this instance? The issue is, can you trust people like Tim Pool and Dave Rubin who are going to take this much money and not even do the slightest bit of due diligence as to where it's coming from? They were duped, just like Joe Rogan's duped by, there's kitty litter in classrooms. It's because these people don't give a shit about what they put out there.
Yep.
This money they didn't take bribes to say stuff. Although there is a scenario where I could make an argument that they were fashioning some of their material, but we can talk about that in a moment. This is much more equivalent to Clarence Thomas going around going like, I don't know if I can stay on the Supreme Court in 2004, 2005. Going to Leonard Leo and say, I don't know if I can afford to do this. And then Leonard Leo introducing him to his new best friend, Harlan Crow. And then all of a sudden they're best buddies for the next 20 years. And Clarence Thomas has no more money issues because this is a private school paid for his kid. He has his parents' house bought. He goes on all the trips he could ever want, private jets, living in luxury, on and on and on. This is to make sure that Dave Rubin, for instance, who, like, I would be willing to wager that $5 million that he's gotten over the past year plus is his biggest source of income and revenue for his program. He may be making some money on his, locals membership, although I imagine that's died out.
Relationships, right? Because it's not just Russia. Like, when we talk about independent media, how many corporations are just, this is peanuts for them to throw things out there to basically just incentivize certain
Mercers,
commentary. Yep.
Like, I mean, if you're taking this money from Edouard de Gregorian in Belgium, of all places, you're not going to take money from the Mercers?
Peter Thiel.
You're not going to take money from Peter Thiel or David Slack?
Sachs.
Or Sachs or whatever that guy's name is. I mean, these people are inveterate liars. And when Tim Pool claims, like, I don't have any investors, damn straight you don't, because investors implies they want something back. You just have these patrons who are out there who know that you're doing the bidding of extremely wealthy people. If somebody was to come to me and say, I want to give you $400,000 a month to do what you're doing, I got news for you. I would be talking to attorneys. I would be there's something really wrong here.
Right.
I've been doing this for 15 years. And like when we had a patron once at the beginning of this show who gave $1,000 a month through what I thought was a joke membership, the Sam Cedar membership, where you actually get to be me and I go to, Tulum, Mexico.
Yeah.
And you do the show. And I put it out there and it was like, whoa, this is amazing. And I Googled it and I just found like, this is just the guy who apparently is like, really helpful to the show. And it lasted for, I think, about 18 months. I was very conscious of it, but I never got an email about like, you should do this and that. It was just like, I could tell you his first name and that was it. And even then I'm like, I'm
Suspicious.
a little nervous about this. Like, what is somebody gives you $1,000 a month. Like, what is it they're going to ask for return? Now, that may be a little bit overly sensitive, but if somebody came in $400,000 a month, I would be like, this would be great, but I ain't messing with this. And the reason why they were able to do it so easily, I think, and the reason why they even started $5 million, the reason why, think about what it takes to ask for, I want $5 million for one video a week. It's because you've been down this road before.
Yeah.
It's because you know what people are willing to pay you without return. There is no way Rubin thought, they're going to recoup their $100,000 a pop. There's no way. And
love ideas.
There's no way he thought but I'm going to end up I'm going to grow this company. He's got his own enterprise. There's no way. When Peacock came to me, I was like, I understood what the calculation was. They can get my show and it's cheap relative to them producing their own show. And I've been a contributor on that. I was a contributor on MSNBC. I had sub-hosted. I'm a known commodity, but I'm also really cheap for them.
Right.
And so it made sense to me. Like, okay, I get it why they're doing this. They had no editorial control. They had nothing over what I was going to say. But I'm like, they don't, they know the parameters of what I talk about. They never paid attention to any of the politics we did. They didn't even notice it when I had the executive director of the union that was unionizing both those things on both the shows that we were doing. They never paid attention to that. They were really more concerned about, like, don't make fun of our hosts or whatever it was. But if you're asking for $5 million annually for 48 videos that you're going to do over the course of a year, you've been down this road before. And so let's play this clip from when, in...
It's 15 here. I think you labeled it 13.
This is Tim Pool talking about how bad of a businessman I am. True. But how he doesn't have any investors. Now, let's be clear. Edward the Regordian is not an investor. He's just the dude who's throwing money at him for seemingly no reason. And Tim's deal, incidentally, was a non-exclusive license. If you are as bad a businessman as I am, if I get somebody who's paying me $100,000 for a video that I can post somewhere else, simultaneously,
and not have to send him back any money for that video, right? It's just a flat fee, and then I can post it elsewhere.
It's just a license. It's a non-exclusive license. Like, I understood when the Majority Report was licensed on Peacock, like, they wanted to play at night. I'm like, they need to fill programming with something cheap that is, so that people who are watching other programs on their network don't turn away, and it's there. But the idea that, like, my YouTube viewers are going to go on to Peacock and watch it, that's absurd. There's no way they could believe that. And so Tim Pool, I think, is intelligent enough to know that. Now, here he is in June. When were you on?
So this is June 23rd. Yes. So of 2023.
Wait, June 2023. I know why that date sticks out for me.
Yeah.
Because that's the month that Tim Pool closed on this deal in the first weeks of June, according to this indictment.
I think it was at least a week or 10 days before this conversation that we had.
Interesting.
Well, I just can't even.
He knows at this point that he's going to be getting $100,000 a video for a non-exclusive license. Incidentally, there's another way you can get a non-exclusive license to Tim Pool's videos that he puts out, and that is to embed them on your website.
You could do that.
You could do that. In fact, we have a non-exclusive license to play this clip right here. This is $100,000. He knows he's getting it from this Belgium guy.
Gregorian,
who knows anything. And he has the audacity to say this to you.
I actually don't think that whatever this space has more money, because this is a fraction.
Oh, no, pause it. I want to go back a little bit earlier, because you say, and this is the whole point, these people are subsidized. They were subsidized on radio, and it was either through, like, Hillsdale College will be advertising all this, or I'm going to give you an extra, column on Town Hall, and I'm going to pay you $200,000 for a column on Town Hall. These people have been subsidized since the advent of right-wing talk radio. They are subsidized.
Yep.
They are paid money, exorbitant sums of money, without any expectation of return in terms of financial. The return just comes and you keep doing what you're doing. And Tim Pool was stumbled on this before, where he knew you could do this type of thing, right? Did you play that video yesterday? Where he said somebody could come in and pour all this money into Google AdSense and subsidize your show, and nobody would ever see the traces of it.
We didn't play that.
we played the OnlyFans.
He said that in the past.
Yeah, I saw the AdSense thing. We can maybe find that.
Yeah. He said that in the past.
This was more direct, Tim.
But this is Tim responding to Emma saying there's a lot more money in there. I got news for you.
This is like 5 minutes into the interview, too.
I have never ever been approached by anyone. I've never even gotten the offer from like Soros, or I don't even know who else would be out there for anything even remotely like this. Again, I had one subscriber once who gave $1,000 a month for 16 months at the beginning of this show. Made a big difference. And I had one other fan from Air America, and she gave, I think, like probably what broke down to $3,000 over, for 2 or 3 years in a row, like annually. And then we had somebody who donated computers, but no, they're not. This does not exist on the left. It does not even remotely close. Good.
Clicks. I mean, the dude's got like 170 videos about Dave Rubin.
Yeah, we do cover that. I mean, I think part of what we do is we try to respond to some of the right-wing ecosystem on the internet because there's a vacuum truly left. You guys have a lot more money than the left-wing media space. We just try to combat it a little bit.
I think the issue with that, I can understand why you'd say that, but it looks like this is a great way to kick off the show, actually, like the start of the culture war. I actually don't think that whatever this space has more money because this is a fractured independent space of varying ideologies.
Tim, I'm in your compound right now.
Yeah, I'm rich. What
I live in a one-bedroom. I mean, how did you get rich?
I started a website, took memberships, sold ads on videos.
Yeah, but the reason that you
pause it for 1 second.
that we don't.
He literally just signed a deal for $100,000 non-exclusive license on per video. And that it's not even in the forefront of his head at that point.
Edward Gregorian got
I forgot about that.
one of those special memberships.
Yeah.
But Matt pointed it out. Did you catch how he defends Dave Rubin right off the rip?
Oh, yeah.
Stablemate at Tenant Media.
Oh,
In this
interesting.
fractured space.
That's when they had just done that, right? Now, was Culture War the show that they did on Tenet? Oh, so this show, wait.
It is that show. It is the show.
Oh.
That goes so far beyond the pale. I just can't even.
Wow.
So to be clear, Culture War, Bradley, can you clarify this was the one that was subsidized by Gregorian?
He says this on his show that he did yesterday, that it was the Culture War that was the licensing agreement was for Tenet with the Culture
Which
War.
was so
Non-exclusive licensing deal. That's a big difference because you know that you're going to be able to exploit it to its hilt. And you're getting an extra $100,000 subsidy for it just to be reposted on some other channel.
for this show in particular. So I was either the first or second guest on the show after it began to be subsidized.
Right.
By
exactly.
the Culture War,
Yep.
this specific show, which is the same as his other
So
show.
they
but
paid
it's
for your
called the
travel,
Culture
right?
War. Paid for my travel, paid for my hotel.
I wonder if they were more generous with maybe other guests of the Culture War than what you got.
Oh, you mean paid directly?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No?
Probably not. I doubt. I mean, maybe a nice.
Might have been a nicer hotel
Maybe,
than I got.
Right.
maybe a full omakase.
Maybe a non-motel.
Instead of just instead of just like the sushi sashimi assortment or whatever it is.
Tips, sold ads on videos.
Yeah, but the reason that you get ads and that we don't is because you more adequately serve capitalism and we challenge it.
We get our ads pulled. What do you mean? There's whole organizations dedicated to getting all of our ads removed.
Right, but the proof is in the pudding and where I'm sitting right now.
So this is memberships. This is almost entirely because people pay to become members of our websites.
Pause it. Almost entirely, except for the $100,000 I'm getting just to non-exclusive license this very video that we're doing right now, Emma, is what he would have said if he was even the slightest bit truthful.
Right, because we do memberships, Tim, actually. You're not giving us any info on that. What else? What other secret sauce do you got in this business?
Almost entirely because people pay to become members of our websites. If the Majority Report, you guys have been around a lot longer than I have. Mm-hmm. The inability to provide a product to a customer does not mean that one political faction has more or is granted more because of capitalism or anything like that. Like if Sam is unable to, I mean, Sam's had way more subscribers than me for a long, long time.
Right.
And he just like, and I'm not saying this to be like mean. I'm saying if he doesn't know how to turn revenue, the issue is more so you need like a COO or somebody who's going to say, here's how we provide something to a market that generates revenue so we can expand our business.
In other words, I've learned now from the business expert, Tim Pool, I need to appeal to some Belgian mystery man, that I have something that you want. I mean, it is amazing that he's saying this literally within days of having signed this document, this contract for that money.
For this show, too.
For
the show I'm
he's
on.
actually talking on. Now, I also don't know that it's actually the case that we've had more subscribers than he did on YouTube anyways.
He started on Occupy, which is around the time this sort of modern version of the show started, the Post-Air America. So it's actually like kind of similar.
But we didn't, I mean...
YouTube didn't restart.
We didn't
later.
have more than a couple 100,000. I mean, we got most of our viewers, our subscribers, really almost around the time you came.
Well, there was 35,000 subscribers on YouTube in 2015.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. I'm not sure that we had that many more subscribers, but also subscribers doesn't mean revenue.
Right, exactly.
It's a lot. The more subscribers you have, the more revenue opportunities you have. Definitely.
How do you know that without having a COO?
Yeah, where's the COO at? I gotta have a word with him.
Well, my CEO is actually, he lives in France.
Oh.
Yes, he's in Paris time. And part of the problem is that I can never know what time it is there.
Yeah.
And so I never contact him.
They have the
really
daylight
a problem.
savings issue, right?
Sabwell's calendar does not sync up
Now-
properly.
So let's just be clear here. We know that Rubin and Tim Pool did virtually no due diligence on this. And then you have to ask why. The reasons are, one,
They don't do
they're idiots. Two, they never do due diligence on anything that comes across their desk. But also, maybe it didn't seem that strange to them that someone was going to pay such exorbitant amounts of money. Like, I know what they'll make on a video that gets 1 million views, and it ain't $100,000. It ain't close to $100,000. In fact, I think the biggest,
not even 10,000.
It's not even $10,000. And they know that because believe me, they have COOs or whatever it is. So what has happened in their business history that led them to believe this is not so out of the ordinary that I've got to have any sirens going off, that I can actually get 100,000 of video from this guy? And I would suspect, I don't know for sure, but they haven't talked about it, that they've had deals like this in the past, because there is a tremendous amount of right-wing money out there that doesn't need a financial return on this. Their return comes in creating it just comes in having people fighting on their behalf in the information wars. That stuff, and if that's not true, if Tim Pool wants to say that that's not true, I'd love to see some evidence of that. I'd love to hear, I'd love to interview Tim about this, or Dave Rubin for that matter, and explain to me why this wasn't suspicious to you. Why this wasn't the slightest bit suspicious that I've seen a printed document, so therefore, of course, this guy's going to give me $100,000 of video for over a year, for over 50, 140 video, whatever the hell. I mean, it's insane the money that they were getting. And then the other thing, I'll say this: we know that Chen must have had some type of relationship with Tim and Dave Rubin.
Mm-hmm.
And the founders clearly knew that the money was coming from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
That we know in the indictment, that they were Googling what time is it in Russia when they weren't getting a response on.
And regularly referred to them as the Russians in their correspondence.
Yeah. It is, they knew this despite the fact that supposedly they were told it was not Russians, right? And Dave and Tim Pool are claiming they're victims. People can decide for themselves if they didn't speculate as to where this money came from.
I'd love to be victimized by hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Let's play this clip. Do you have that clip of yeah, this is way back when.
2020.
Rocco Castoro, I guess, is somebody who worked for Tim Pool. Tim Pool already knew one of the mechanisms in which you could do this. Now, I think ultimately Tim Pool realized, like, I don't even need a mechanism. But this is subsidizing these guys. Never mind, like, influencing what they say or don't say. Like, who knows? I know Tim Pool, just 2 weeks ago, was doing a video where Ukraine is the enemy, et cetera, et cetera. Who knows if, he thought contract negotiations were coming up or he had any idea. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're on a trajectory. They stay on that trajectory because it's bringing in money that they don't have to account for. The idea that you're on basically ratings are irrelevant, returns are irrelevant, we're just going to keep giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tim Pool understood these mechanisms. He's thinking about this back in 4 years ago. Play this clip.
So what happens with social media, particularly YouTube, where it's really easy, you can have a foreign agent or even the government or some corporation or whatever say, this guy talks about things that we really like. Dump ad money into his channel through Google AdSense and they'll never know we were the ones funding him and you can't prove it.
So do you think that's something like YouTube should be looking into, or somebody should audit YouTube for that kind of information?
Definitely.
If it's foreign?
You think YouTube's in on it?
I don't think YouTube's in on it. I think YouTube doesn't care.
Yeah, 'cause
and
it
as
serves
long
their
as
goal.
journalists don't call them out for it, they're not going to say anything.
That's going to cause another adpocalypse. Are you ready for that?
That's the big problem. But I think I've said it a million times. If they announced that they were going to like ban Twitter, I would lose my account. I'd be like, dude, Twitter's terrible.
Yeah, it
get rid
is.
of it. Just get rid of it.
bad
I'm
for
half
humanity.
kidding. Like,
No.
It's bad for us.
but if I found out that someone was secretly funneling money through AdSense to my channel, I'd be like, cut it all off. I don't care. I'll go sleep in a
might have
ditch.
some news for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at, like, we kind of addressed this with you the last board meeting we had about certain sites like syphilisdating.com and
Don't go to it.
nothing to
by
do
the
with
way.
it.
Don't go to
Sounds
any of
wonderful.
these sites that we talk about.
well,
you don't need
it
to
does
do
because it lists
What? Hilarious.
Well, let's just let it play out.
The
your
heck?
brother and you as the owner. And there's a series of 55 URLs like antifahub.org.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of them are packed with malware. A lot of them are packed with, they have security reports.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with me
I
or
don't
YouTube?
know. I'm saying
Yeah.
I don't know, but you should look into it.
Oh, so he wasn't doing a joke. He was just being paranoid.
Yeah, exactly. But here's, he is talking about the model here. They can subsidize. Now, in this instance, he's talking about doing it through Google AdSense. But look, dollar for dollar, this is what they've done. They just cut out the Google AdSense.
Yeah, why give Google a cut?
Yeah,
Why
and-
give Google a cut? I'll
Too
just give the
much,
money directly to Tim. And all we need to do is the slightest bit of pretense so that he has plausible deniability.
And Google might have to actually, respond to inquiries about where that money is coming from if they flag any irregularities,
Probably now,
as opposed to going through a very nascent company based in Tennessee that is run by right-wing activists. So,
Well, there it is. Now, I imagine, I don't know if this money gets confiscated, but I certainly would imagine, as we just heard Tim Pool say, he would never want to take money in that fashion from a source. And so I am looking forward to Tim Pool giving back this money, or maybe he spent it all on a skate park.
Yeah. What he should have said was this. Oh,
You can't,
oh, that was.
you can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day.
I said that to Matt the other day. That was from his Elon Musk call. Very good.
Geez.
Very good.
I was wondering, like, why does it sound like he's Daffy Duck?
It's gonna be. You can't do it,
Can't do it,
Vladimir.
Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day.
It's going to be a bad day. All right, we're going to head into the fun half.
So good.
Edward Gregorian's out there at patreon.com/leftreckoning. Unlike Sam, I'm not going to ask questions. Just, yeah.
Dump it in there.
if it's a foreign name, I mean, Jean-Claude Rousseau or something. Oh my God.
So sophisticated.
But I mean, honestly, like this is the real story here is that they thought they could get this money.
Yeah.
Because I got news for you. Like, if somebody came to me, like the what has to have happened in my past that I think I can get $400,000 a month for 4 videos? What deals have I made in the past with knowing that there's no way they're going to recoup this? I'm sorry. Like, I don't care how rich Dave Rubin is or Tim Pool is. They're not going to walk away from $25,000 a video for a non-exclusive license. Are you kidding me? An extra $100,000 a month?
I mean,
But they started off at $5 million, according to the
the indictments. I mean, they were apparently the communication said they wouldn't accept anything less than like basically millions a year. So that's do you start to your point, if this is the first time you've ever taken this kind of money, do you start in the millions?
I got
Some people are good at business, Emma.
Hey,
Yeah. Negotiate from a point of strength, I guess.
I got some very bad news on the ticket prices for our live event that we're going to be doing on November 5th. We're starting super high. It's going to be $150,000 per ticket to come to this event. And we'll just see who bites.
And yeah, you can internationally you can purchase these tickets. You don't even need to show up.
We are doing a live show on Election Eve in Brooklyn, New York, November 5th, Tuesday, right? Can confirm for me Tuesday, November 5th, at the Bell House. I think there's somewhere around I think it's 250 or 350 tickets. I don't know. What we're going to do is we're going to put them on sale first for members. We will send an email over the next couple of days for members with a link to buy. And then we'll open it up to non-members. Not sure what the ticket price will be because, when we started the show, I had a number, but after, seeing what's lying out there, we got to, I just want to put people on notice. We will probably give members a couple of days to purchase tickets, and then we will open it up to everybody. Do not know whether we will live stream that or not. I imagine we will definitely record it. We might live stream it. Working on those details. We'll know that soon enough too. But just wanted to give everybody a heads up. It's election night. Election night, not election eve. Election night. The day of election.
Although, there's going to be, for example...
We got some breaking news.
Okay.
It's not about those ding-dongs. As you know, Donald Trump was to be sentenced around now, actually, in the hush money case. Judge Merchan just delayed the sentencing until November 26th after Election Day, as you know. So Going to be curious, see if he is a president-elect at that time. That'll be awkward, but more on that later. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.